Good morning and welcome to our digital discovery session today with Cora AI. My name is Matt Minner with Catalyst Connection, and today I have Shai Eisen with me from Cora. Hi, Shai.
Hi. Hey, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're very excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about Cora AI and how I can really help our manufacturers leverage their organizational knowledge. But we'll hand it over to you in a moment to do so. But before we get there, I just want to do a brief overview of our Smart PA program today that's bringing this webinar to everyone and making this possible. So our Smart PA program, this is a Department of Energy funded program. It's actually across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where we're able to support small and medium manufacturers in a range of technology developments and deployments. So it's really very similar to a lot of other programs. Some of you may have been familiar with Digital Bridge, that's ongoing, but we have this program as well, and it's much earlier in its program. So we're wanting to make sure everyone's aware of the different resources available. And as I mentioned, this does cover the entire state of Pennsylvania. So we have our partners, which are the sister centers to Catalyst Connection across the Commonwealth, as well as Digital Foundry. That's a key partner in delivering a lot of the no-cost trainings that we're developing. So the resources we are able to bring to you, we've already done a number of free on-site technology opportunity assessments that we can work through that lead to then free or low-cost technical assistance. And we do have a mini grant program that can get you up to $5,000 back for a $10,000 project. So it's a one-to-one match. Those are available for technology deployment projects. And as I mentioned, we are having a range of no-cost trainings through Digital Foundry. And while today we're going to talk a little bit about AI, it's not limited to that space. It's really anywhere across the industry 4.0, smart manufacturing, however you choose to think of it. Those are all eligible uses for this program. And definitely please stay tuned for our upcoming sessions. At our next session on March 13th, we'll be with Rewinder and learn how one of our manufacturers here in the region really improved their on-the-job training, going from days to hours and really speeding how quickly you can get a productive employee. So that's coming up. So with that, Shai, I'm going to make you the presenter, so you'll be able to get started here. And as we're transitioning over, just be aware, everyone, if you have any questions, please post them either in the chat or the questions panel that you see in the right-hand toolbar. Plop those in there, and I'll be monitoring those just to get those in front of Shai. So without further ado, I'll let you take them from here, Shai.
Thank you very much, Matt. And again, sorry guys, I apologize. This is the first time I used this GoToMeeting. It's been a while since I've used it, so let me try to get everything configured probably on my screen. So first of all, thank you for having me, Matt. It's a pleasure. I'd like to speak a bit about how first of all, my name is Shai. I'm the CEO of Cora. Cora is a company that develops AI, or specifically AI-powered knowledge management tools for manufacturing organizations. Now, it's a company that we've been around for a while, and it took us a while to kind of converge on the industrial sector. And the reason is, why does the industrial sector require its own AI knowledge management tool? Why can't a manufacturing company use a standard off-the-shelf AI knowledge management platform? And there's just some few solid good reasons for that. But when you think about this whole AI party going on, this ChatGPT party going on, stuff like that, it seems like there's this huge party going on, and there's a very specific group of companies, businesses that have been excluded, have not been given that invitation ticket, and those are industrial companies. And the reason, in my view, in our view, there's a few fundamental reasons why that happened. So first of all, I would say that when you think about these companies, you guys come from that industry, you know that industrial companies have been around for a while. These are companies that have been around for decades. Some of these companies have been around for a few centuries already. So when you think about technology, these companies have been generating content way before AI, and most of these companies have been generating companies way before digital. So their knowledge, the source of their knowledge, is in what I call legacy formats. Very document heavy, manuals, procedures, data sheets, PowerPoints, spreadsheets. Old school engineers. That's the way I'm an engineer. That's the way we document our knowledge. The second reason is just the subject. Manufacturing content is very technical, which is very challenging in many cases for AI tools to understand. And this is even before we start diving into, what I call company-specific ontology, because companies also tend to invent their own language when it comes to their products. The third reason is, I assume many of us have played around with ChatGPT. I'm not sure if people have noticed that ChatGPT gives good answers in most cases, but in some cases it's a bit off and it can throw in the wrong answer. And the problem is when it gives you a wrong answer, it basically writes it in such a convincing way that it's very hard to now tell the right from wrong. And last but not least, when you think about industrial companies, your knowledge is your IP. Industrial companies are very conservative when placing their knowledge on what we call cloud-based platforms, where there's a strong concern that might be accidentally leaked or shared with potential competitors. So this is even before we start talking about AI. And let's talk about the next generation of AI, which is called generative AI, formerly known as OpenAI or ChatGPT. Now, to try to demonstrate the challenges with adopting Gen AI into industrial companies, I'd like to use this person as an example. I'm sure you all are familiar with, this is Plato. And I would like to use Plato to explain, kind of like the differences between traditional search, Google, platforms like Google, and new Gen AI-based search platforms like OpenAI, ChatGPT. So when we look at it, there's two types of questions you ask a system. The first one is like a general knowledge question, like what is the birthplace of Plato? So when you ask that question to both Google and OpenAI, both give you a correct answer. They both say that Plato was born in Athens, Greece, because that is something which has been documented and is publicly available. So this is where, there's not much difference between these two platforms. But let's move on to the next level of questions, and that's what we call reasoning questions, or being able to understand or find an answer to a never before asked question, like what is the country code of the birthplace of Plato? Now that's a ridiculous question, so no one would ever write a blog or anything that will answer that question. So obviously when you go to Google, which is a traditional search platform, you ask that question, you don't really get an answer for it because no one ever documented that. But here's the power of LLMs, ChatGPT, because when you ask ChatGPT, what's the country code of the birthplace of Plato, it's able to apply reasoning and basically make the connection between Plato being born in Greece and Greece's country code being 30 and giving you the correct answer. Now we've spoken about public domain search, publicly available knowledge. Now let's move on to the next place, to the next level, and and let's talk about large language models, and specifically in the industrial sector. Now, what's the challenge over here? I mean, what we want at the end of the day, in order for LLMs or AI to help us, is be able to apply reasoning for questions we get from our customers or problems we experience that we've never had before, being able to ask some kind of an AI tool and get a correct answer based on our existing knowledge base. Now here's the rub. I mean, when you think about LLMs and your specific company knowledge, these LLMs they've never seen your knowledge before. So they don't know anything about it. On top of that, taking an LLM and training it to understand your specific knowledge base is something which is basically close to impossible from a technological perspective. But when you think about, as I said, that you still want an enterprise LLM to be able to answer what we call never before asked questions on never before seen knowledge, being your knowledge. And basically, this is what an AI tool where an AI tool like Core comes in, because it basically provides a solution to that specific gap between LLM reasoning capabilities and your never before seen industrial knowledge. And in a nutshell, what you need is kind of like an enterprise GPT that understands your specific knowledge, that runs on your knowledge base, and ideally also runs inside your IT ecosystem and not on some kind of public cloud that might, with all the risk associated with that being leaked or accessed unintentionally by your competitors. So when you think of what are the basic building blocks of the right AI platform for an industrial company, like when you think about what are the basic ingredients, so first of all, what you need is some kind of an AI platform that understands your legacy knowledge and more specifically is able to transform your knowledge, your documents, your videos, your data, your PowerPoints, your training videos into some kind of a format that AI tools, AI models can understand. Once you have that, you need an AI model, an AI tool that has undergone specialized training to understand your specific knowledge. Next, we believe is a text-only experience that ChatGPT provides is not good enough. You need more than that. You need what we call a hybrid experience that basically gives you access to the source of the knowledge. And I'll give you, and I'll show an example for that. And last but not least, industrial companies need the peace of mind that their content, their intellectual property is safe within any platform they use for their AI knowledge. So here's just a few examples of the security standards required, such as ISO, SOC 2, privacy standards, GDPR, CCPA, but that's just for for cloud-based solutions or SaaS solutions. Ideally, you'd also like a platform that you can deploy inside your own private cloud, your own data center, or even on an edge device like a tablet or something like that. So let's talk about that the entry point into what we call an ideal system. And this is what we call a digitization, the digitization engine that basically takes all your legacy content and digitizes it into a format that AI tools can understand. So here's an example of a typical technical document from a technical data sheet. So when you think about the core of any document is text. So ideally, you'd like a tool that would be able to now take text and group it by topic. Now, that could be sentences, it could be paragraphs, it could be pages, but it's most important is to be able to group those by topic. The next level is start adding more information, understanding more information relevant to that specific topic. It could be titles and subtitles. It could be chapter names, adding as much information as possible to make it as easy for the AI tool, for the AI model to understand the context of the question asked. The next part is images, and manufacturing data has enormous amounts of images. If it's drawings, graphs, and whatnot. Ideally, you'd like an AI tool to be able to understand those images. And so basically, you need some kind of engine that takes these images and translates them into a format that now AI tools can understand. The next part is tables. And when you think about tables, tables are a language of their own. It's a way to condense enormous amounts of information into minimal real estate. Now, for any typical engineer or any engineer or any person, the number 1.08 would immediately, they would understand what that number would stand for. But if you ask an AI tool, if you give an AI tool a table and ask him that same question, in many cases, it will probably get that answer wrong. So you need some kind of a platform that is able to now transform tables into a format that AI tools can understand. We talked about relevant information. Let's talk about irrelevant information. For example, footers, page numbers, stuff like that. That is information which is basically irrelevant. So why should that be part of the database? So ideally, all that information should be excluded. Once you do that, the next level is just understanding the basic layout of the document. If it's single column, multi-column, just understanding that for this specific case, the information flows, the content flows from top to bottom, left to right. Many AI tools, if not most AI tools, will just assume it goes the standard left to right, and will start mishmashing or mixing content from different sections into one group. Once you complete the basic content analysis, the next level is being able to extract relevant information out of the document. What we call it entity extraction, but most people just call it as auto tagging. For example, being able to identify part numbers, part names, revisions, release dates. This is customer names, project names. This is important information that now can allow the AI tool to interact better with the end user and understand the specific needs of the end user of the system. So this is on the ingestion side. Now, an ideal AI tool would be able to do this for any format. It would be able to do this for PowerPoint presentation. It would be able to do this for a spreadsheet. It will be able to do that for your ticketing systems, and will also be able to do that for all of your instructional and training videos you use for your training purposes. So now let's move on to the front end, because we've all played around with ChatGPT, and it's great because you ask ChatGPT a question in natural language, you get an answer in natural language, which is very personalized and very easy to relate to. But now comes the issue of, first of all, the two limitations over here is, A, you're not exactly, there's no way for you to check if that answer is correct or incorrect. And in many cases, the source has a lot of relevant information, which is critical for a person, for a field engineer, to understand the operation and perform it properly. So what you would like is basically a tool that will be able to cite the exact sources of where the answers came from. If it's from a document, if it's from a video, a spreadsheet, or PowerPoint. And when clicking on it, being able to open the document or the file in the exact location where the answer came from, saving the person the need to go and find the source in the document. So, and when you look at a document, for example, a document has a lot of information that the person needs in order to perform an operation. As we talked about, there's visuals, there's flow charts, there's tables. That is critical in many cases to understand exactly how to perform an operation. Let's not talk about instructional videos or training videos, just that visual representation or explanation of how to perform an operation. That's just critical for getting the job right, as one would say. So this is kind of like, this is AI 101, which is, the basic AI, leveraging AI to find the right information, the correct answer to a specific problem as quickly, as effectively possible. But what's the next level of generative AI? Because, we've talked about content exploration, but if you really want to take AI and leverage AI to the best it could give you, the next level is what we call value generation. And in the most basic way of representation is, if you think about it, you have a business bottleneck on the one hand, which is driving business challenges. You have what we call a database of fragmented data that basically, if leveraged properly, can basically solve this business bottleneck. So you have this enormous data lake or database of untapped value that can solve this specific business bottleneck. So ideally, you'd like a tool, what we call an EGL, which stands for Extract, Generate, Load engine, that could now go and find the relevant data sources or content sources or pieces inside that data lake, extract them for this specific business use case, and regenerate them in a format that now basically solves this problem and basically streamlines this business bottleneck. Now I can give you two examples for how this can be leveraged. So one example is, pre-sales, from the world of pre-sales. Most industrial organizations, for potential customers, get, in order to onboard a new customer or even start a sales process with the new customer, you need to fill out what we call an RFQ, or request for a quote. Now these are forms with 10, sometimes hundreds of questions that, when you think about it, there's this existing database of data sources that all the historical RFQs that a company has filled out in the past. There's more information like marketing materials, corporate reports, white papers, that if, ideally had quick access to them, this form, instead of being filled out in hours or days, could be basically automatically extracted and generated in the context of the questions in the form to basically fill the form out automatically and basically streamline this RFQ form completion process, which traditionally is very labor intensive, but when you think about it, it could be basically streamlined and fully automated. Another example is field service and maintenance. And we think about it like machine failure analysis inside of a manufacturing facility. If you are a manufacturing company, if you are an OEM for supplying manufacturing equipment, send your engineers going to your customers, trying to serve a machine failure at your customer facility. Now, when you think about it, there's this enormous database, which is historical service cases, which basically contains not just the service cases for that specific machine or similar machines, but on top of that, you have user manuals and documents, training videos, data sheets. If service engineers were able to basically plug in a simple problem description and get as an output a solution mapping engine that basically generates a list of possible root causes and a list of possible solutions to fix those root causes with the reference to the sources where those answers came from, this could streamline troubleshooting and field maintenance, and basically reduce field maintenance issues from hours, days, in many cases to minutes or hours. So this is kind of like the overview of the role of AI in the industrial sector. Just about Cora, basically what we've built is this exact solution that basically, is enterprise ready, but in our view and understanding of the challenges industrial companies have, we've tried to make it as plug and play as possible. So completely web-based. We integrate with all of your knowledge sources, and we're format agnostic. We offer that true seamless push button digital transformation engine. And when it comes to integrating into an existing or non-existing digital experience, basically we enable you to build and customize your own portals, widgets, chatbots, whatnot. And even we offer an API SDK that you can build your own applications on top of our technology. Just a few examples of our existing customer base, and that's the presentation. So thank you for your time, and happy to answer any questions from the audience.
Thank you, Shay. And thank you, Shai. That was really great. Lots of good information. I appreciate that. We do have a question or two here. So just to remind everyone, if you do have additional questions, just put them in the chat or the questions panel, and we'll get to them. I'd say the first one we have, I mean, you touched on this briefly with the um, kind of the validation process, or that the data quality, or what the LLMs are putting out. You know, obviously, have you seen looking at ChatGPT or others that sometimes the information's a little suspect, or if you don't have that back-end knowledge to check it, you know, that's a challenge. What does that, I guess, validation process look like when you go and install to make sure? I mean, is that just a manual process, or are there other you know, capabilities? What's that? How do you validate, well, what comes out of a system like this?
So that's a great question. So when you think about the validation, and I randomly put this slide on because it's but somehow it relates to the answer to the question. The first part is in the real-time engine. When the system generates the answer, it's leveraging multiple LLM large language model agents to basically self-check each other. So you would have one LLM generating the answer and another LLM checking that answer and qualifying that answer. And only after that happens, the answer is displayed to the user. The next part, and that is before the ingestion, which ensures that the data is as clean as possible and synthesized as possible to ensure that the LLM will have access to the correct information. The next part is the user experience. So on the user experience level, you have the fact that you are able to have the source, the direct citation of the source of the answer, and the ability, and when you're not sure about the answer, the ability to now go and click on the reference and open the reference exactly where the answer came from, that gives you the ability to double check, and that basically gives you that next level of credibility. The last part, and that is when it comes to, you know, our customers, basically, you know, the way we see it is our customers should participate in the journey of the qualifying and training the LLM. So basically, all the questions their end users ask are fed back into the organization, to the team as what we call an analytics and insights engine. So now they start seeing all the questions the users are asking, what questions have answers, what questions don't have answers, what questions have bad answers, and really helping them fine-tune and qualify their knowledge base to make sure that it addresses the questions of their users as ideally and best as possible. So basically enabling them to do data-driven knowledge management.
Great. All right, thank you. Next one, what you know, what are some of the key criteria or characteristics of companies that you've seen that lead to success in these types of implementations? You know, what are you looking for? What are the common themes where you've seen success? You know, anything you'd highlight there?
You know, it's kind of all over the board. I can show like 4 examples of companies that have used our system to solve specific problems, and maybe that can help answer that question. So, you know, here's one example of a large semiconductor equipment manufacturer. And again, it touched, you know, what's their pain point? Their pain point is they need to service their machines. They're an OEM manufacturer. They manufacture semiconductor machines for semiconductor manufacturers. They need to go and service machines inside their customer manufacturing facilities. Now, these facilities are air-gapped facilities. There's no access to any external knowledge. So their service engineers basically walk in with what they're wearing. And there is no access to any additional information. So basically, we are working with this company to build what we call a troubleshooting assistant system that sits inside of the customer's facility, and now their system and their field engineer can now go in, ask a simple question about a problem he or she are seeing in the machine. The system just generates all the machine history, all the possible root causes for that specific problem, and the list of the possible solutions. Another great example is this company over here. That's basically, they basically are one of the biggest air treatment system manufacturers in the world. And their pain point is they have a large channel partner network that they need to continuously onboard new channels and new partners, which is a huge burden for them from a training perspective. So they are using Cora to build a training academy that now streamlines the onboarding and training processes of new partners. You know, another example is this company over here, United Rentals. They're basically using us as a self-service training, self-service portal for their end users. And this example is a bit of an outlier, but it's just something we're proud of. We have Porsche is using us, using Cora is basically the engine that feeds into interactive user manual, a multimedia manual sits inside of the car and answers any questions their users have about operating the car.
Okay, great. And we have one more question come in. This actually goes back to our first discussion around, how do you check for errors or things like that. And the question, was does the system tell you when it was wrong and adjust in the future or warn you or something like that? You may have talked through that. I don't quite recall, but that was a question.
Yeah. So again, the system is, so when you have that self-qualifying cycle, and the system will come back and say that it could not. There's two cases. The system can come back and say, I just could not find an answer. And the second case is, which from my perspective is probably one of the most the highest risk case, is when you can have a question that can basically relate to two different products, for example. So if the system will see that the answer comes from different sources, it will then raise a flag saying, listen, there's an ambiguity over here. Can you please try to qualify your question? Now, the second part of this is also the system then, over time, based on feedback given by end users, thumbs up, thumbs down, and direct feedback from system admins, basically uses that information to train the local model over time and improve its understanding of the company's specific knowledge base as it grows.
Perfect. We're just a tad over, but this has been good. One last question. What's the deployment process look like, especially considering a typical small medium manufacturer? What are some of the key steps, the time, how long is this? Is this a long-term deployment? And how is this like a service-based, software as a service type model, or what's your pricing structure at least?
Yeah, so for mid-size businesses, that's where we have our SaaS offering, the standard SaaS pricing. You can see our pricing. Our pricing is on our website, and our objectives to make, as I said, our mission in life is to be plug and play. So basically, once you log in to Cora, create an account, and link up your knowledge sources, you can really start building out your different what we call search experiences or portals or chatbots. And onboarding can be a matter of days, weeks, depending on how much information you want to link to the system.
Okay, well, excellent. Well, we thank you again for your time, Shai, to join us and share about your platform, and also just really this topic in general, how companies can better leverage their institutional organizational knowledge. So thank you very much. And just a reminder for everyone, this was recorded. So if you want to share with others or rewatch or check anything out, we will share that link that will be coming out to you shortly, and certainly reach out to ourselves or Shai with any questions, and have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me, Matt.
You're welcome. Take care, Shai.
Bye-bye.